This What the Health documentary really has me grinding my gears because I don't know what to believe. I've emailed people. I emailed Dom D'Agostino. He was even on the podcast, as you guys know, and to ask about the documentary and to get some answers. And I've gotten so many different answers from so many different people. So I wanted to sit down with someone who's in that realm, but is doing things that are beyond even just nutrition and fitness. And you're about to hear what his whole goal is for his company, because his company really is incredible and they're doing incredible things. And I'm glad that I could sit down with him now when he's kind of, just in the beginning. He's blowing up, but he hasn't blown up just yet. So I'm glad I was able to pick him up and pick his brain now that he's on the climb, so that you guys can also see what it takes to run your own business and kind of the struggles that go with it as well. And so this one is a little bit longer because, like I said, we tried to tackle all the nutrition questions and things like that too, but then we started going off on a tangent about the business and how to run it and things like that. So I wanted to kind of get it all together, and I didn't want to cut it short because it was just such a good conversation. And I really hope you guys liked it just as much as I did recording it, because he really is onto something big, and I'm glad that we could partner after the episode. That's how much I believe in his company, Family Dreams Fitness, which you're about to hear a lot more about it from the man himself. I recently saw a documentary and it's really gotten me going, because I wanted to know if the pure plant-based diet is so beneficial as their claims are to be. Because I saw the documentary What the Health on Netflix. I don't know how many people have seen it. But that's why I want to bring in my next guest, because I really want to talk about nutrition, and not only just nutrition, but even though he's young, he's been through so much that is very inspirational to anybody who's going through any everyday struggle, because you can so easily relate to his struggle. And so with that, I want to bring on my next guest, please, Mr. Kasey Render.
What's up, man?
Who represents Family Dream Fitness. And of course, we're going to talk a lot about that, but if you could just introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Kasey Render. I'm a exercise physiologist. I graduated from the University of Central Florida. That's where I met Nico.
Go Knights! Woo!
I went to Coral Reef Senior High School. I was in the IB program. I was also on the basketball team. Ever since I was younger, I've always been into sports and I've been active. I was in PE all my life. We used to do field day, sports day. I played basketball. I tried football a little bit, but it wasn't one of my sports. But I've always been active. And when I was in high school, I was on the basketball team, and a lot of people liked the way my body looked. I had big calf muscles and I was very muscular. So a lot of people always ask me, oh, what do you do when you work out? How do you work out? And I'm just saying, I'm just active. And my dad has muscles, so it's genetic. But then while I was playing basketball, I realized the basketball players were doing the same thing. And I was like, man, I can probably do this for a living. Mm-hmm. But that was one of those distant dreams or distant goals where I said it, but it wasn't something that I was actively pursuing. It just happened. Uh-huh. And then when it came time for college, when you have the first time dealing with what do I want to major, what do I want to do for a living, I looked for anything to do with sports. So then UCF had a sport and exercise science program. So I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. Decided to go the strength and conditioning route, because me and my cousin, our goal was if we didn't play college basketball or if we didn't make it to the NBA, we wanted to train somebody who could make it to the NBA or college basketball. So I was like, all right, I'll do sport and exercise science, major in strength and conditioning. So I took that route. At UCF, my first year, I interned with the strength and conditioning coaches for the basketball team and the football team, and also volleyball. And at that time, it was just new to college, a lot of experiences, and I was like, I'd rather focus on living the college life. So then I stopped after one semester. And I lived the college life, didn't really focus on school or anything, just passed the classes and went to school. Then my junior year, the summer after my junior year, I went back to the internship because I was like, all right, I need to start focusing. So that's when I was a strength and conditioning coach again, but I had more of a prominent role and I was able to lead the basketball team. I was able to look at the strength and conditioning coach, Ben O'Donnell, learn from him, and he allowed me to make up my own workouts for the college basketball team at UCF. So that was where I realized I have the influence to lead athletes that are in a position that I was never capable of getting to, where they were playing Division I basketball, but they were listening to me. So I was like, oh, wow, I have some type of power now. So I was like, I want to make, before college, me and my cousin were like, all right, we'll do Family Dreams Athletics. That was the plan. So I was in college learning strength and conditioning so that when I come back to Miami, I'll have all the knowledge to have Family Dreams Athletics. And towards the end of my internship, I realized the athletes, it wasn't my route. And once I had to do the actual workouts that they had to do, I realized, wow, this is a level that I don't really want to be a part of. So I decided to make Family Dreams Athletics, Family Dreams Fitness, and I would be able to work with way more people.
You told me that you had to do 300-yard laps of pushing 145 sleds, yep. Right? And you said that by the middle of it, people were taking breaks, and then they had to just kind of like push through it. And I can't even imagine that. I couldn't even push 10 pounds. Yeah. So I can't even think 145 pounds for
it was a lot.
600 yards, because up and back.
Yep. Up and back is up 100, back 100, and you had to do it continuous until you got to the 3 laps.
So how come you went kind of like obviously since you've been around it your whole life, but why did you usually people who are in athletics, they wanted that big look. They want to get strong. They want to look muscular. It's kind of rare to hear someone say that, because you say that you like 150 pounds. Like, you know your weight. You know how your body moves, how it functions. But most people, when they're into fitness, they want to be big and strong. Why do you think you gravitated more towards just kind of like the lean route?
Because at the end of the day, like, your looks are going to fade away and your muscular strength. You can't keep up the same weights that you're lifting when you're younger. You're not going to be able to hold that for the rest of your life. Just scientifically, you won't be able to, because your body decreases, your muscle mass, all of that decreases as you age. You can still be strong and you can still look good, but that actual strength and that testosterone boost that you get just because you feel great, you can get that by just being healthy. Instead of gaining those 20 pounds, it's better to live every day feeling like you don't have to stress about your body giving out. You don't have any knee pains. You don't have any back pains. That's something that people take for granted because it doesn't happen until you're a lot older. But you can prevent that stuff if you live a certain way when you're younger. And the way to live when you're younger is not like a specific like way to live, but if you get into the habit of living this way when you're younger, you'll live that way for the rest of your life, and that's what keeps you pain-free, disease-free, and so on and so on. But when you're only focused on lifting heavy weights and the CrossFit of the world, you're not taking into account what foods you're eating, specifically as far as being a healthy weight. What food to drink plenty of water, not just because you're tired in the gym, but to drink plenty of water so that your blood moves more efficiently and your oxygen is getting up and down, like all of your nutrients are getting to where they need to get to efficiently. When you're focused on just lifting weights and being heavy, you're only thinking about the very shallow aspect of it, which is the physical looks. So you want to look better, but it's about what's inside. And if you don't get your mind to like train in that way, when you're 60 or 70, you're not going to know how to, but your body's going to be broken down. You're going to be having back pain because you were doing so many deadlifts when it was cool to put it on Instagram when you were 25, but when you're 50 or 60, you're that old person that has back pains and you're stressed for that. Then you're taking so many pain pills, like very addictive pain pills because of back pain. Then there's a chance that you can be addicted to those pain pills, or just the constant stress of, I have to take this to alleviate the pain. And I would rather be 150 pounds or whatever the healthy weight is. I'd rather feel healthy, wake up, and my health is not something I'm worried about. It's other things to worry about.
Because even though you have big muscles, that doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy.
Exactly.
Just like if you're skinny doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy.
Exactly.
You have skinny fat people, and you have people who might be a little overweight, but who have excellent insides, and like they know how to handle their health properly.
Exactly.
Because health and fitness go hand in hand, obviously, but they're not like health is exclusive. You have health, and you need your fitness to kind of provide that health.
And then the thing with Family Dreams Fitness, when it was supposed to be Family Dreams Athletics, then I changed it to Family Dreams Fitness as the way to bring in that, because the fitness industry right now is a huge wave and it's almost like a fad, which I hope it's not a fad, but right now it's in that beginning stage where it can be seeming like a fad.
Well, it's good. Yeah, like it's popular to be healthy.
Exactly,
now.
but
That's
I
a
hope
good
it
thing.
doesn't become something that
yeah.
fades away. I want it to be a way of life, and fitness was my way of making the name of the business cater to that fad or that hot thing. But the real purpose of it is health and wellness, because wellness is more of a holistic approach to it, where everything you're doing is a part of your health. Fitness is more part of the look aspect, and the weights and all of that. That's what people take from fitness. But your wellness is your overall well-being. So that's what Family Dreams Fitness is, but it's named Family Dreams Fitness to cater to that. It's fitness.
Okay. To get to that image.
Yeah, to get to that image, but then once you
really,
start learning more,
eating,
you learn that, wow, it's about all of your health.
It's to get that initial bite of the apple, but then you realize, wow, there's way more to this bite.
Exactly. And that's what, but you can't, right now, the wellness is not something that's super popular. Right now, the big crave is CrossFit. And the hype for CrossFit isn't as high as it was. I think it hit its peak. I think it's coming down from its peak, CrossFit. But about 2 years ago...
Because people probably realize now it's not as good for you as what people are saying.
There are a lot more people are getting injured. But in its beginning phase, CrossFit was the thing. They had CrossFit games on ESPN that were televised like crazy. Now that's not the main...
Who would watch that, first of all?
There's
What person watches that?
The first time I watched it was at UCF and the strength and conditioning. My junior year, this summer, the strength and conditioning, the basketball coach, he, the boys' strength and conditioning coach, his dad was in the CrossFit games for the 55-year-old, I think, division. So we were watching his dad, and he was just lifting, doing power cleans.
I guess for you guys it makes sense because you're learning how to,
the heavy
lifting and all that. I can understand
like the Olympic lifting, but that's what also deterred me from being a strength and conditioning coach, because I didn't want to only teach that style of lifting. I wanted to explore other ways of living.
So with FDF, whenever you have a client, you also go nutrition with them too. So you tell them you give them a diet, you tell them what to eat.
As far as a specific diet, I can't technically tell them, because I'm a ACSM certified exercise physiologist. So what that gives me the power to do is implement like exercise programs or exercise prescriptions for the healthy population or those with metabolically controlled diseases like diabetes, hypertension. So if their doctor gives them a prescription for diabetes medicine, that's a metabolically controlled disease. So that means that disease can be managed with medicine. And with diabetes, if you exercise more and do the right exercises, right cardio, you can reduce the amount of medicine that you're taking, or you can completely eliminate the medicine because it's reversible.
See, so that's what I wanted to talk about too in this documentary with this plant-based diet. They say that these people would take like diabetes medication and they would have to take a plethora of them just to get through the day. And then after, I think it was like 3 weeks on a plant-based diet, they were off the medication completely. And even some of the effects that were so severe had gone back a little bit. And so I was curious on like how true could that actually be? Like, I mean, obviously you need to also incorporate some exercise, but she wasn't like a young woman, you know, she was in her mid to late 60s. I don't know how real is that, and that's why this whole documentary has me so shaken. What is wrong with me? But I was wondering, so with the whole, you know, with the diet involved, how does the fitness also help with reducing, you know, your diabetes, or how does it help the effects of diabetes?
The most part, nutrition plays a way higher percentage on your health than exercise. If I don't have a specific percentage, but if I were to guess, it would be like 70 or 80% is due to nutrition, and then the rest is exercise and rest and all of those types of factors. But exercise itself helps you build muscle, and a lot of the heart disease, diabetes, that comes from excess fat and too much sugar or too much salt. And exercise helps speed up your metabolism, which helps you break down food faster, so you're burning calories faster the faster your metabolism is. And exercise increases your metabolism. Drinking more water increases your metabolism. Things like that help. And exercise also helps you for bone health. So when you're getting stronger, your bones are able to last more. And if you're not exercising, or if you just sit down all the time, sedentary lifestyle, that's a huge reason for diseases as well. But when you exercise, it makes your bones stronger. So when you slip and fall, you're not going to break your hip or break your wrist as quickly as if you didn't do anything, because with age, your bones start to get weaker and weaker. Osteoporosis, there's different bone diseases that happen if you're not active. So being healthy isn't just about the losing the weight. There's so many other things that break down if you're not healthy.
My goodness, wow.
Yeah.
And not to mention, you need to keep a discipline with that and as well. You need to understand that you're not just doing this for 1 or 2 days. You want to make this a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
My next question is so I tore my ACL, and it's been a year now, a little over a year in recovery. And with PT, I always, I liked going to physical therapy and doing it and things like that. But once I stopped going to physical therapy and I had to start working out on my own, it was hard for me to do it because I had the injury. And so I'm curious, when you get clients who have major injuries, how do you get them to battle their own psychology? Their own demons, their own like, oh my God, could I get hurt again? What? How do you help them battle that?
That's helped because I was before I became an exercise physiologist, I interned as a physical therapy technician in Orlando at Proform PT for 2 years. And there every day I was learning and seeing patients who were there for injuries. So my purpose in going there was, before I was a personal trainer, I wanted to know why people got injured, how they got injured, and if they did get injured, how can I help them get stronger from that? And how can I prevent that in the future so that when I would become a personal trainer, when things like that would happen, if I have a client who says they had this pain or this previous injury, I know the rehab. So I will continue the rehab that you did in physical therapy. I will implement that in your workout program so that that knee is always staying strong. Or if you have back pain, every client that I have, they go through a assessment and evaluation. So I get to see their weaknesses. I get to know their health history. That's like a PAR-Q in training terms or in the health industry. The PAR-Q is where you have to do in the assessments, where you learn people's history. Did your parents die did you have anybody die in your family from a heart attack at a young age? Things like that. So we can see if they're predisposed to certain things or if a certain exercise can affect them. So if a person is on diabetes medicine or high blood pressure medicine, I need to know that, because if their blood sugar is too low and they come to a workout and they're feeling weak and they pass out, if I didn't know that they had diabetes, that's negligence. I would completely not know. But then if they told me they had diabetes and I knew the symptoms, or I checked their blood sugar and it was below the number, if I continued to work them out through those conditions, that's a liability on my end.
Yeah.
So physical therapy, that background in that, and also just having the exercise physiologist certification rather than personal training certification, it gives me the knowledge on a lot more than what a typical personal trainer would have. So I know the certain precautions that it takes to make sure you're living healthy, not just strong. Because if you have a lot of these conditions, you can be strong, but then you still break down internally because you have all of this other stuff.
And having someone in your corner who knows what they're talking about is also a huge benefit.
Yeah.
Because I remember always going to, physical therapy and like, okay, they know what they're doing. They know how to rehab me. So if that can continue later on too, I mean, man, I should have done that too. I just keep going now, but I mean, soccer is helping.
Yeah.
But, sometimes I throw out my knee and then I don't know what to do. So do you do like kind of rehabbing with them too, like massaging and things like that?
Massaging, I do PNF stretching. It's where you're holding their leg or whatever muscle. They're fighting against resistance. They're relaxing. It's different techniques. But as far as massaging, I'm not certified or qualified to massage. But I would like to hire someone who does know, like a massage therapist or chiropractor, onto the Family Dreams Fitness umbrella.
So that's also another reason why fitness is good too, right? Because it keeps the umbrella wide.
Yes.
It keeps it so that you could have, if you wanted, like you were saying, a massage therapist or a yoga instructor. I know you're also thinking about something like that too. So it keeps everything kind of in the open.
Yeah.
If you want someone to help you lose weight or gain weight.
Exactly.
I'm also very curious with gaining weight. How does that kind of work? Because you have to push a lot of weight, I'm assuming, and eat a lot too.
Yeah, the eating part is everything as far as weight gain and weight loss it all comes down to calories. So whatever calories you're taking in and whatever calories you're burning. So when the calories that you take in comes from your food, and the calories that you're burning comes from you sleeping, just you living, period. The fact that you're alive, you're burning calories as you live. When you die, then it exists no more. But when you eat more than you burn, that's when you gain weight. So if you want to gain weight, you want to eat more food than what you're eating right now.
But it's not any kind of
It's
food.
not any, of course
yeah,
not,
yeah.
because then you can gain fat. You want to gain muscle, lean muscle, because fat and muscle, they weigh the same. So 1 pound of fat is the same as 1 pound of muscle, but 1 pound of muscle is more dense than 1 pound of fat, which means you get somebody who weighs 180 and is very muscular, who has 5% body fat. They look small, very muscular, very ripped. But then you can have somebody who's 180 pounds, 50% fat, and that person is extremely fat and looks obese and unhealthy. So there's the two different things.
So in terms of obesity and the percentage, what kind of percentage of body fat makes you obese? Is it like 28%?
28, it varies for women.
It depends on your height too, right?
For body fat percentage, it goes by your age. For BMI, it goes by your height and weight. And for body fat percentage, there's a formula.
And you say that you want some fat because fat is good because it's like a cushion.
Fat is good because you need your body needs fat to survive with the organs, and it's also a cushion. You don't want to have, like, if an anorexic, and this is just an example, but if an anorexic person were to fall on the ground from, let's say, 3 feet, they have a way higher chance of breaking bones or killing them or puncturing lungs, anything as far as breaking, than someone who has a lot more fat on them.
More fat, yeah.
Or who's a healthy weight, because there's nothing there as like a shock absorbent. There's nothing there protecting you. Fat protects you. The thing that really kills people and what really causes a lot of weight gain is sugar intake. Sugar, the more sugar you have, the higher chance you have of getting diabetes, hypertension, which is high blood pressure, heart disease, you clog your arteries. A lot of those things come from excess sugar.
A lot of people don't think that. A lot of people think fat, and it's not fat that's really bad.
Too much unsaturated fat is bad, but
we need saturated fat though.
Yeah.
We need that. That's like health-wise, we need saturated fat. We need our fats. Fats are a good thing, like you were saying. But people have this misconception that fats are bad. But like you said, in excess, anything in excess is bad. But sugar is the real enemy, and carbs is the real enemy too, because carbs is obviously what translates into sugar.
Yeah.
So you think that that's the danger of the plant-based diet, is that you kind of resort more to carbs, and by doing so, you're having a lot more sugar, so you're being unhealthy even though you're trying to be healthy.
Yeah. And then with the saturated fat, it's the unsaturated fat is the good fat. The saturated fat is the bad fat.
Saturated fat is the bad fat. So we want unsaturated fat.
Saturated fat is like the butter, the lard. You don't want that.
Yeah, you don't want the saturated fat, right?
No.
You want unsaturated.
Unsaturated fat.
Correct. But Kasey, so you've kind of been through a lot, man, for someone who's very kind of young. You know, you're only a quarter century old, right? So
25 in October.
So I mean, I brought you on because I wanted you to kind of share your story too, because it really is inspirational for someone who's kind of been dealt some pretty hard cards, and you've kind of managed to make it work out. And that's kind of the beauty of FDF as well, is that you're promoting such a positive message with it too, because it's not just fitness. You also have a lake clean, for example. You had a yoga event, and this past weekend, you know, you fed the homeless, and you fed over 200 people. You know, and that's incredible. That's incredible. So how did you kind of get into that whole mindset of giving back to kind of, you know, how did this story begin?
As far as giving back, well, my mom and dad, they were very nice, very modest people, calm. You don't bother them, they don't bother you, funny, and they're just genuinely good people. And my mom is also, she raised me, I'm her only son, and she was very overprotective. So she made sure everything was done right. I was very active because she's also a nurse. So I was always outside. She would read to me all the time. Every time before I would go to sleep, even if I wasn't paying attention to my mom, if I was running around, she was still reading. So she would make me read. She would read to me. I was limited on the internet. I can only go on the internet for about 30 minutes. I watched TV no more than 1 hour, and that was after I did my homework. That was after I read, and that was after I played outside. That was the last resort. And she was just very nice. She would donate to Goodwill all of the time. My grandma is very helpful. Anytime anybody in the family needed anything, she would always help. And on my dad's side, my grandma was the same way. She volunteered at a school to teach children, and she was very religious. So I've always had a genuinely good family that pretty much instilled in me just be a good person. And I'm also like one of the role models in the family where a lot of the younger cousins, they look up to me. So with that in mind, I realized I can't be that stereotype that I can easily fall down. Like as an African American, you could either, and I went down the route, I was the athlete. Oh, he's great in basketball, or he's good in basketball. He's the one, yeah. They look at it as the typical stereotype. Black kid doing well in basketball, of course the family's going to support that. Of course, that's the route you're supposed to go. And I wanted to play college basketball, one, for myself, and two, so I could be on TV and my family could see me. But then I realized that passion wasn't there anymore. And when I came to that point of, I don't want to do this anymore, I was like, all right, I still need to be a positive role model for my cousins. I still need to be that light for my family doing good things. So I was like, all right, whatever I do, I'm going to attach good charity and good deeds to my business. And my first business happened because I have ideas for more, but my first thing that I'm going with my whole life is Family Dreams Fitness. So just because Family Dreams Fitness, I want it to do well monetarily as far as, okay, I want a whole bunch of clients. I want the business to be great, make a ton of money. I have to make sure that the community and giving back is number one, because I didn't get here by myself. Like nobody gets to where they're at by themselves. I don't care how great a person is. They weren't great by themselves. They were taught to be great. They were led to be great. Like everybody has to follow somebody at one point. So it's either you're going to follow the followers or you're going to follow the leader. If you follow the leader, eventually you'll lead the way once they give you that, pass the torch. So I've always followed very genuinely good people. So my mom was a role model. My dad was a role model. Take care of his kids. He's there. My mom is always looking out for everybody that's needing. My grandparents were the same way. So I've always had that just naturally in me. So, and then for my freshman and sophomore year in college, during the summer, my first job ever was with my brother's mom. Me and my brother have different moms, but his mom worked for a nonprofit in Florida City, which is south of Miami, but it's still in Florida, but it's the south of Florida. For most people who aren't in Miami, they don't know. And the nonprofit it was called South Dade Weed and Seed. It was for impoverished children who didn't know how to read or write or do math, and their families were poor. These were kids who were literally from illegal immigrants. They were kids who didn't have a home. They were living in cars with their parents. They were living in homeless shelters. They were living in Section 8. The worst of the worst, there was kids that would come to the camp and they haven't bathed in 3 days. They were wearing the same clothes for 4 days. They have stains. So that type of life for an adult is hard. But can you imagine a kid? So I was a camp counselor. I was a servant leader intern for that camp for 2 summers. And we had to go to Tennessee for conference and for them to teach us how the camp worked. It was a part of Freedom Schools, which is associated with the Children's Defense Fund as well as Miriam Edelman Wright. And she used to work with Martin Luther King on his movements during the Civil Rights Movement. So she was continuing the initiative of giving great education to minorities. And Freedom Schools was what her prized possession. That's what her creation led to. Well, Ella Baker, but she was a part of it. So that was the camp that I was influenced with. So a lot of different camps from around the country would meet up in Tennessee during the summer for the 1-week conference and how they teach you orientation. And from there, I learned just the science and the psychology behind the education system, that there's a lot of politics involved. There's a lot of money. A lot of stuff is greed when it comes to not only just the world, but it's in education as well. And there we learned how to teach children. And we did it pretty much based like a Socratic seminar I always say that, Socratic circle, where everybody sits in a circle and they're all level, because science shows that when you're standing above somebody, the people that you're above, they feel inferior to you just because of that relation to you, as far as they're sitting down, you're standing up above them. But when you sit with them, it makes them feel more included. Yeah, it's like they feel together, they feel more included. And you never they advised us not to demand for them or tell them what an answer was. Everything was pretty much led from a question. So it was like, how do you feel? Oh, we just read this book. What do you think the main purpose is? Who do you think this is talking about? Or why do you think this is going on? Because it forces them to think. I think what's happening now is we're losing critical thinking. Like, critical thinking isn't a component in society. And my thing is, I want to help people. I want people to think.
as long as more people keep thinking,
Yeah.
we can keep going with ideas and spreading ideas and making positive change.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have bad thinkers and bad thinking, but you try and weed those out, and that's what good thinking should evolve into, is like evolving and getting that bad thinking out. And that's incredible that you say that, because when I spoke with Dr. Lynn Yeribaran, and she was talking about the same thing, that's what school is meant to unlock. It's your critical thinking. It's like, that's why they give you all that monotonous homework and the dumb quote-unquote homework, because you're trying to just learn how to unlock your critical thinking. Obviously, they could give you better homework and better examples of what you're learning, but that's a different subject altogether. And like you said, a lot of it does have to do with the whole greed and the money situation. So did these kids obviously they wanted to be there, and they're trying to learn. They're trying to be as better, the better person that they can. But coming from these hard homes, it's something that weighs, like you said, it hurts an adult. Imagine a child, And so how was it that you were able to relate with the children so that they would actually learn and respond to someone like you?
Because with any type of child, with any person, they just want to be understood and heard. So most times you just let them do the talking, you just let them have fun, and you have to try to understand that before they came to you, they were somewhere else. So you may catch them where they're in a bad mood, but there's a reason why that child or that person is in a bad mood. So you have to always take into account where that person was before they got to you. Because if they get to you and they're the kid is acting up, in typical society or classroom, if somebody's acting up, you punish them. You punish them, and that's it. And, you didn't learn your lesson, you just keep punishing them. Instead, it's like, okay, you discipline them. You don't just punish them, you discipline them, but then you figure out why they're doing this, and then try to correct what's causing them to constantly do this.
They're doing that because it's a cry for help, right?
Exactly, it's a cry for help because they're doing that because they're either not getting that attention at home, or the attention that they're getting at home is so negative. So they're acting out because they want somebody to nurture them. Most people need to be nurtured. I don't care how young or old you are. You need somebody there, so when you're at your highest high, when you come back down, you need somebody to let you know that it's going to be okay. But if there's nobody there letting you know that it's okay, or if you're already down and somebody's blaming you for being down, then it's like, all right, I'm hopeless. There's nothing left nobody's there for me. And then the thing that's why I put the community and helping people before my business, as far as I pushed community, because you can't have a healthy world or a healthy body if mentally you're all messed up. If nobody's there to care for you, if there's all these homeless people in the streets, you can't have a great America if you have all of these poor people. You can't have a healthy America if part of you is healthy, but then the rest of you is not. Like, I think of it as a whole. So just because I also want myself, my family to be healthy, but I want everybody else to be healthy. It's a worldwide mission the whole thing is we want to make a healthier and more positive world. It's not just you, me, the whole world. And it starts with poverty. It starts with the communities. You can't be healthy if you don't have the energy to survive. And
the start with that is, I think people just need to be more empathetic.
Yeah.
They need to just put themselves in other people's shoes and be like, man, if that guy wanted to wake up this morning and live on the street, I don't think so.
Exactly.
He didn't want to have to go around the street asking for money to then maybe get a meal. A lot of people fall into the whole thing of some people do drugs and that's why they become homeless. Obviously, yes, there is a percentage of people that are like that.
Yeah.
But the majority of people who are homeless happen to just fall on bad times and they don't have the support, like you were saying. So where does FDF kind of find its support?
FDF right now in its stages, it's a lot of friend-based support and family support as well, but I'm not sure if my family truly understands everything that's happening right now, where a lot, like Family Dreams Fitness is more than what they're seeing right now. Right now, my family's perspective is seeing it as, yes, there's a quote-unquote successful young African-American, he's doing everything the right way. And that's great that they see it, but they don't see how much more it could be if they are involved or if they believe even more, because it's bigger than just our family. It's
like you
world.
Said, you want the world.
I want the world. So right now the support is coming from social media. Friends are starting to know about it on Snapchat. I get a lot of comments here and there on, I like what you're doing, supporting people buying the shirts from the websites. Then when I do the YouTube series, I'm getting a little bit more feedback on that. So the support is there monetarily, is not there yet, but
that's what time.
I see.
Man.
Yeah, I see it's
builds.
building.
Yeah, it builds with time.
I see it building. Yep.
And so, what do you tell the haters? What do you tell the people that are telling you, like, why do you keep doing this? It's going nowhere. Why keep doing this? You know, who are you to change the world?
Yeah, I just keep doing it and just do it better. So it's like, okay, for one, actually, the first thing I do is I drop you out of my life. Any negative energy that's not contributing to the greater cause, there's no need for you to be in my life. And that's not a knock or shade to anybody that's not in my life. It just happens to be that, hey, everybody's not meant to be around everybody. Where you can live your life, I support you to the fullest, but you don't have to be involved in mine, and we can go our separate ways. But it starts there. Then, in order to counter that, I just redirect that energy into motivating me even more, so I go even harder. So instead of my first time I fed the homeless, I fed 28 people off of my own $40. And I was like, okay, then more trials and tribulations happens in life, and instead of going the negative route, I use that energy towards, all right, let me go even stronger into what my cause is. So then I did a GoFundMe, and my goal was to feed over 200 people. So I was like, I did the math from my $40 that I spent, and I knew, okay, I can buy a lot more because it's exponential. I can buy in bulk. And I said, okay, let me do the GoFundMe for $250 and get other people to donate onto what I'm doing, and it will make it that much bigger. And within the 2.5 weeks that I had it up, I got $230 out of the $250, but I was still able to feed over 200 people.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it was an amazing experience.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. And to get it all too. I mean, but then again, I'm just devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
People, again, because I want you to keep answering about what you keep telling the haters, because it's important that they see how important what you're doing is to the community.
Exactly.
You know, you're doing something. But what they would say is, then why record it? Why don't just do it out of the kindness of your heart? Why do you got to show it? You know.
And then with that, it's, if you look at social media, everything in life right now, or in general, especially now in today's world with social media and just the way the world is moving with technology, everything is posted. So it's either you post the good, or you're gonna have to suffer from all the negative that's out there. Because on social media, you can literally see somebody dying on Facebook Live or Instagram Live. So in order to try to drown out that negative space, you have to put more positive out in the world, so that people can focus more energy on the positive.
Exactly.
Because if there's only negative out there, okay, you can complain about somebody posting something, but you're not realizing that it's positive. So why would you try to negate anything that's positive when there's so much negative?
And then again, why do you have to be negative on the positive that is being posted? Like, why do you have to even say,
like you might as well comment on the negative.
You know, exactly. Like, why are they posting something that's negative? It's because they wanted to, and they want, like you said, they're throwing energies out into the world. And so I agree. If you keep throwing out positive energies and you show people that, hey, you know, for $230, you could feed over 200 people.
Yeah, it's the same thing that they do.
Someone could do the same concept, but this time with $1,000.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You feed more and more people.
Exactly. And even though it might not have been you who did that, you're the one who sparked it. And that's what FDF is trying to do. They're trying to be the spark that gets people into talking about health.
Yeah. Health is...
And taking care of people.
Health, that's a huge part of being healthy. Like,
healthy is also your environment.
Yeah, if your environment, because most people are products of their environment. And this comes back from my experience working with South Aid Weed and Seed. Those kids that I was working with, those kids eventually turn into teenagers, and then they end up doing the same stuff. Then they eventually turn into adults. Then they end up getting in trouble with the law. Then they end up in jail. Then when they end up in jail, they're treated like crap. Then they're treated as pretty much institutional like slavery, because you're working for pennies on the dollar for these corporations in jail. Then when you do your time and you serve your time and your punishment, then you get out of jail, but nobody wants to hire you because you went to jail, because you made mistakes, and they don't acknowledge the fact that you may have learned from your mistakes.
Right, you're not rehabilitated, you know.
And so then you do whatever you can do to get money, you end up getting back in trouble, and you're staying in it. That starts from a little kid who's growing up in a area where there's extreme poverty.
Bad environment.
They're in a spot where their parents can afford to feed them. They're in a spot where most of the time it's a single mom. Their dad's in jail, their dad's dead. They don't even know their dad. A lot of the times they're working in the farms before school. So when they get to school, they can't worry about learning because they're tired, because they've been working. I've had little kids in my class that were 6 and 7 years old that literally work the farms. because they're illegal immigrants. So I don't expect them to be smart on society standards, because how would they have the energy to learn if they don't have the food, they don't have the money to get the books to help them get the extra curriculum? Because school right now, what they teach you in school by itself is not enough to make you a great citizen. They're making you great robots, but they're not making you a great citizen. So a lot of people are products of their environment, and it starts from when they were younger. And I saw that firsthand, and it's like, wow, we're not going anywhere positive soon if this is acceptable.
And what's good is that you're getting your message out there too, because you said that the weed and seed experience, you would take notes as you were going down. We spoke about that off air, but you would take notes as it kept going, and you wrote a book about it, and you said it was kind of like a memoir of that time. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that?
So during that time, I was writing when I was in Tennessee for those two summers in a row, my freshman and sophomore year summers of college. I would come back from Orlando, come to Miami and work so that I can have money to pay for rent in Orlando, because I wasn't working in school. I was just using financial aid. So those 2 summers were money to make it. At first, when I got the job from my brother's mom, Robin, who I'm forever grateful for that experience. It's changed my whole life. But I was just thinking it was like a counselor job. Oh, typical, you go to the park, but it was way more than I thought. And when we were in Tennessee for those conferences and the orientations, I learned so much about not only African American history from civil rights leaders, but I was also just learning about the education system and the psychology behind learning and nutrition and why all of that's connected. And if you don't do your exercises, if you don't eat, it affects your mental state. That's where I learned a lot of that. And I was like, wow, let me take notes on this for personal research. And I wanted to write a book. I was like, this is great information. A lot of people, or a few important people to me, were saying that I shouldn't write a book because like nobody knows who I am. I haven't made it yet. It's a waste of time. But I knew that there was a lot of people who thought like me, who are just like me, where we're introverts at first, and then around certain people you're extra, like, of
course, yeah,
but for the most part you're an introvert. So you may be thinking all these great thoughts, you may be very intelligent, you may be able to connect with a lot of people and have a great social life, but you're just quiet,
you're reserved.
You're reserved. But I was like, there's a whole world out there that's probably thinking this. Let me write, and I can help them, or maybe we can do something together in the future. So I did that. And then my freshman year in college, my English class 1102 at UCF, I had Ms. Rhonda Nelson, and one of the projects was to do a argumentative paper at the end of the semester. And my class we were all introverts, all quiet during class. We all got A's and did our work perfectly, but none of us spoke to each other. No one
said
spoke.
Anything.
It was raise your hand, did you do your homework, pass it in, do the work, leave. Everybody, that's it. Nerds of the class. And I was like, all right, I have to do a topic that's really going to make people start talking, or else I can just do the basic argument that it's like, yeah, that's cool, I agree, whatever, nobody argues. So I did what a lot of people advised me not to do, but I was like, I mean, what's there to lose? And I attacked religion, I attacked God, and that was me playing devil's advocate. That was, for one, me not knowing my stance on religion and the higher power, so I was personally conflicting with that, but I was also wanted to spark dialogue in the class.
In the class.
Play devil's advocate at the same time. So this was the time of the Haiti earthquake, and I started it with, is the Tooth Fairy real? Is Santa Claus real? And things like that, childhood, those type of things. And then I started with questioning, if you win the lottery and you thank God, is he the one to praise when you win the lottery? Or if something great happens in your life, when you say thank God or da-da-da, is God the one to praise? And then I was like, okay, if that's the case. And when I said that in the class, they're like, yeah. When you win the lottery, is God to praise? Yeah. And they were all agreeing. Then when I flipped it and went towards when you get into a car crash, do you blame God? No, that he's not. Okay, do you blame God? No. And is God to blame for the earthquakes that happened in Haiti? Because that was completely devastating. And they're like, no. And then I was like, how can you give somebody the praise? But then if somebody's all seeing and has control over everything, how can you give them that praise and then not give them the blame?
The blame as well, yeah.
And when that happened, when I said that argument, that whole class was arguing with me, calling me names. People who were quiet, they're, oh, you're an idiot, you're going to hell. And then I had some people defending me that I never talked to and I never knew who they were. And they were saying, no, he's right, he has a point. And they were like going back and forth. And then I look at my teacher, Miss Nelson, and then we were both looking back at each other like, yo, this is kind of weird. Yeah. And then there was also that double entendre with it. It was mainly, I was like one of the only black kids in the class. My teacher happened to be from Barbados, so she was black. So we were looking like, gosh, all of these white people, like, what's going on? And we were just had that connection. And then at the end, she pulled me to the side after class. She was like, that was a great presentation. Like, I've never seen so many people attack and you stood there and didn't flinch. And then I was like, okay, wow. That weekend, I was like, I learned something from this. Your words can be very powerful. Like if you say the right things or if you push the certain buttons, either with malice or with good intentions, you can get a very big reaction. So it's just a matter of what you use with your words and how you use it. So I took that influence and I went back to what I was writing from Tennessee, and I took that experience from the college class and I went back and edited the book that I was writing from Tennessee so that I knew that, okay, this is going to get the reaction that I want. It's going to get people thinking the way I want them to think because I know exactly from the religion paper. And then later on, she told me that she used my paper for all her other classes as like the introductory argument, and it got the same reaction from every single class where she was like, most of my class hated you. They said you should have gotten an F. And she said, they think you're going to hell. And I was like, but did it get the same reaction? Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, perfect. So then after I was still writing the book at the time. Then after she did that for about 2 or 3 semesters, I finished the book. I had her read it, and she used the first page of the book to do the same thing as like a experiment for the class. And their first assignment, the freshmen, their first assignment was to analyze that one page. They didn't know what the page was referencing. They just read the introduction. And that second day of class, they were supposed to explain all of their annotations and everything. She invited me to that second day of class to pretend that I was a student, that was my first day showing up. So just in case they were like, oh, this kid wasn't there the last time. But I was sitting in class just like a normal person. I usually wear a hoodie because it's easy to kind of hide yourself with it. So I would just be in the back relaxing, or sometimes in the middle. The middle was the most trippiest time because once you reveal yourself in the middle, but in the back, and she's just asking them, so how'd you guys think about the first page? And they're like, oh yeah, it was great. Who do you think the author is? You think it's a male or a female? I think it's a girl because they wrote diary in it. Because on the first page, I put something about a diary. Well, referencing like a journal, but I used the word diary. And they're like, they use diary. Guys don't use diary. And I was like, oh, okay. So meanwhile, I'm sitting next to the kids saying it. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they're like, oh, there's a lot of arguments within that first thing because it's referencing everything from what I learned in Tennessee about the education system, about the poor people, about minorities and how they're set up to fail. A lot of that was referenced within that first page. So they're like, oh, I don't know if I agree, but there was a lot of dialogue. Then she asked them, if you guys found out if this was a book, would you want to read the rest of the book? Was this a good enough first page to get you to read? And they're like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So I'm taking notes like, okay, this many people think it's a guy, this. And then she said, if you could meet the author, would you want to? And they're like, yeah, sure. And she's like, all right, Kasey, come to the front. And I would just stand up and walk to the front, and they're all looking at me like, damn, like he was like really right here. And then a lot of them were trying to like, you can tell the ones who were saying things that were kind of like not negative in a bad way, but just criticism or whatever, constructive criticism, and you could see them like kind of backing up, like backtracking, like, oh yeah, I didn't mean it like that, and it's like, it's cool. This is all what I wanted you to do. It sparked dialogue. That's something we don't do. We don't communicate with each other. We don't have intellectual conversations. We talk about
shy away
quick
from
stuff.
them,
we talk about the social media, the
Kardashians,
quick stuff,
and all of that.
But we don't talk about multi-layered thoughts where it's like, all right, here's the first initial thought. Now can you think even more about that? Now can you really figure out? Now can you agree to disagree?
You never said the name of your book.
Oh, it's BWPE, A Conversation with Yourself. And the BWPE stands for Blind with Perfect Eyes. And what that references is the fact that everybody has the perfect ability to live a healthy and positive life. Everybody has that ability to go after their dreams. You may not get your dreams specifically, but you have the right and the ability to at least fight for your dreams and go after it. But we're blinded by all of the BS in this world, the social media, the Donald Trump being president, the Kardashians, sports, all of these different things are thrown at you, which blinds the perfect vision. So it's like putting this cloudy vision on you when it's like, hey, wipe that stuff away, push it away. Like, no, like look forward. And if you have tunnel vision, of course, tunnel vision is good for spurts. I don't think tunnel vision is good for your whole life because you miss out on reality. You need to see everything. Yeah, you have to live. You have to see, let things happen naturally. You have to fail. But we're blinded by all of this mess. And that was my first, this was all before I started Family Dreams Fitness seriously. This was me finding myself as a young man because I started writing this when I was 18, 19 years old. That's my first time going to college, first time being away from home that long, not having your mom, not having your dad. So you're learning life for like the first time.
You're learning about yourself.
Yeah, you're learning about yourself and like, wow, this is who I am. This is what I really think about.
Too. Yeah.
And so that was the reason why I wanted to write the book at that time, specifically for that 18 to 30 age group, because that's when people are finding themselves. And I wanted to write it while I was living it so that I can pass it down. So my family or anybody that's younger is like, hey, when you get to this age, then you can read it. I don't want my cousins now to read it at their age in high school because I don't think they're mature enough to take things into its proper perspective. They may take things out of context because of what's going on now and not really understanding life, and it could really mess with your development.
You're worried about how they might take the message.
Yeah, they may take the message wrong. It's a very strong message. Yeah.
Very strong. I still have it in my room. I love the book. I love it.
Very strong message. So if you take it the wrong way, it can be taken the opposite way, the same way it can be taken the positive way.
And it's something that's quick.
Yeah.
It's something that you could pick up in one afternoon and you finish it. And that's something that's important with heavy topics too, because you don't want something to be so long and drawn out when it's something so emotionally invested. It's
like a quick read and you get it. Okay, you can agree to disagree, but it made you think. It forced you to think because there's way too many controversial, I wouldn't say controversial, but there's way too many personal topics that it forces you to look within yourself. That's why I titled it A Conversation with Yourself, because going back to diary, it started off as my diary to myself during my experiences in Tennessee. So during my experiences in Tennessee, I learned the information that I was writing about, and that was me learning about myself. That was me having a conversation with myself. While I'm asking those questions directed towards myself first, and I'm like, is this the way this is happening? Why is this happening? I'm questioning myself. Then I'll stop writing, I'll go learn it, and I'll come back and say, oh, no, this is what it is.
Have you learned other things now that you might look back on into the book and say, you know, maybe it might have been a little different, or maybe this is a little different? Because I know you mentioned about Queen.
Yeah.
And you talk about Queen, for example, and I don't know if you want to really like get into that, but you know, you talk about how you have one woman who's your queen, and you treat her how you always are going to have her as your queen.
Yeah.
You know, and I wonder if that's something that you still hold today, or if, has that changed, or how do you feel about that?
That perspective I still keep as far as, in that specific part in the book, I think it's like in Respect the Woman chapter. And it's, I still hold that standard where the woman is queen, woman is God. And when you find that person that is that queen, you cherish it like there's no tomorrow, because at the end of the day, we came from a woman and your mom is the one that nurtured you. But at the time, I was actually in a relationship, engaged and everything, but that was just a moment of wrong person, wrong time, wrong person, wrong personality, and you grow out of people because when you don't have certain stresses. So if you live in the college life, you're not worried about your own money, you're not worried about your own future because everything's being taken care of at the time. But then when real life happens, if you have a huge conflict of interest in that department, that can throw off all of the wonderful moments you had, because now it's real life, and are we going to survive together? Not are we going to be good together, are we going to survive? So when that happens, it detaches, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you still hold that person to that queen standard. I feel like you should treat every man should treat every woman to that queen standard. Every woman should have the man as the king standard. But when that person shows that they're not giving off those qualities or traits, you don't put them to that pedestal. But you should always put the quote unquote man at king, woman at queen, because you want to live to a higher standard. But if somebody's showing you that they're not on that, for one, you might have to be patient, let them live their life. That doesn't mean you have to be with them. But two, okay, they're not there, but you should always have that standard of queen, and you respect that.
It's the
because if you have
respect.
no
It's-
morals,
yeah.
then what's the point?
Exactly. It's that whole respect
Yeah.
factor. And obviously, if they're a man and a woman, you know, the
Yeah.
king and queen.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm kidding, but yeah, no, that's. So I was just curious if there was maybe anything else that you like you've learned that you know you kind of look back and you're like, you know, that was a way of thinking, but maybe I would have tweaked it this way or
Yeah,
that way.
I think
'cause-
I'll write in the future on certain things, pretty much almost like a where are they at now type of
Right,
thing.
yeah.
It's like 5 years
This is
later,
what I
this is what it
learned.
really. Yeah, scratch that. Sorry, this is not how it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it was written at a time where it's a memorial, so it's a timepiece. So even if it doesn't relate to what's happening now, it lets you know that at that time, this is what happened at that time in my life. Like, I don't shy away from how I felt before. There's no regrets to what I've said or done. It's just that happened. You either learn from it or it's the same, but there's no denying that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't run away from your past. You have to pretty much acknowledge it. And the past can be good or bad, but you can't run away from it.
Yeah, you got to embrace
You have
it.
to
You got to
embrace it, yeah.
learn from it, and
So-
that's where you learn from.
Mhm.
And so, Kasey, you've done a lot of learning, and you seem to be a role model. You are a role model because you also coach, for example, you know, young kids as well, and they look up to you, and they are all about the FDF life, and they're all about supporting you. How is it that you uphold like an image? Because it must be tiring as well on you, because people only see the positives on FDF, and they
Yeah.
only see, you know, the good things that you post and everything, but there really is a person behind who's working hard, and who's there's a group of people actually who are working hard and doing what they need to do to make FDF really an impact and something that people should follow in this world. But you know, how do you not get tired? Like, what keeps you going? How do you keep going? And how do you serve as this inspiration for kids? And how do you not get fatigued?
The fatigue definitely has its moments, but I show it sometimes, but I try not to show the fatigue as much, because at the end of the day, there's no excuses. And especially when your life is actually like dependent on it. I have a lot of things that drives me. Like, my drive comes from 20 different angles at the same time. My grandma on my father's side, she had dementia and passed away due to complications later. With living with dementia, eventually you're going to die from something related to it. And I saw how that took a burden on my family financially and just emotionally. And then just also having that 9 to 5 standard way of life. When a lot of things happen to you outside of that workforce, and then that happens, work is already stressful and you're already tired and don't want to do that. Then on my mom's side, my grandma, she has dementia. She's living now, but her dementia is getting worse. And that's taking a toll on the whole family and my mom as well, because that's my mom's mom. So I see that type of struggle, and it's like, wow, everything can fall apart in an instant. I don't want that for my family now, and I definitely don't want that for my kids in the future when I have, or if I'm blessed to have. And then now my mom, her health is deteriorating because just so much stress is happening, and it's like, okay, that was my cushion. And my dad's involved as well. They're separated, but they're both involved. And she was my cushion, and when she's struggling and like it's getting worse and worse every day, I don't have time to rest. Because if she's struggling, my dad is working crazy overtime hours every week. I have no right, I have a lot of audacity to sleep and rest and think that, oh man, there's no time for that, because it's a moment of life and death and surviving. It's either you can help and then keep your house, do that type, it's almost on that level of pressure. So I make sure whatever I do, I don't give up, I don't stop, because if I stop, then everything can there's a lot of people depending on this. And not only just my mom, but the inspiration factor, where I have cousins that have a lot of negative influences, where that could end their future before it even starts, because if they don't have a role model showing them that you can get out of the struggle or poverty or the hood by doing as simple as getting good grades, go to school. What do you want to be? Personal trainer, or what do you want to be? Construction worker, whatever you want to be. Go to school, get the you don't even have to go to school. Get the proper education and knowledge and experience, and then do it. You can even start your own. You can have your own business. That's not something that's very common in my family. There's not too many people who were, I think my grandpa on my mom's side had his own small business, but back then you had to. They were products of slaves, so that's something that they were always that strong-willed. But then society happens where you get soft and you don't do the same stuff anymore. You get lazy. So that essence hasn't been seen in my family. Probably I'm trying to live off of that essence, and it's not in my family. So I'm trying to bring back that hard work ethic, that consistent trying to provide for your family, because that's what families would do back in the day. There's still families that do it now, but that used to be a staple in the black community. That used to be a staple in just life in general in America, where you work hard, you live the American dream. Now you're so discouraged to live that, and in most hoods or ghettos, there isn't a living the American dream. It's either you're gonna make all this money being a rapper, you're gonna be an athlete and make some money, you're gonna be an actor and make some money, or you're going to, maybe you'll be a doctor, or you're gonna sell drugs and do the illegal route. And that's what most do. And you're just trying to survive because you're a product of your environment for the most part. But I want to be on a level where I can show my family and my cousins that are at very high risk with the company that they're hanging out with, and just the way where they live as far as gun violence and violence in general, then their friends are not the biggest influence. I'm at a point where if this is really going and I push and focus, I don't care if I don't get any sleep. I don't care if I look crazy overdoing something, or I don't care if doesn't seem to be working right now, or there's no money. There's no money anyway, so I might as well try going for the top. So I don't care if it's like, oh, there's no money, but I'm trying, because if this does happen to work, that helps a whole family change their way, because the whole family sees, oh, wow. Not only can they see it, but then I can be in position or help them be in position to give themselves security to at least go after your dream. A lot of families that are wealthy, their kids have this one advantage, and it's like it would be naive for someone to not even see that advantage or acknowledge it. But if you're wealthy, your kids have the advantage of being able to fail without that real life or death pressure. You can spend money on their dreams. Oh, it doesn't work out? Okay, you try something else. Here's the money. You don't have that same luxury where, no, there is no money. You can't even try your dreams. You need to do this so we can get some money to survive. And I had that cushion of, I was blessed at the time, even now, because I was able to start it and get it going, where it's like, I go after my dreams. I don't have to work during college. My mom helps, my dad helps, I have financial aid. When that stuff starts running out, then your mom's struggling, then money's not running, and then there's so much stuff happening in the family, then this person drops out of high school, then these people, there's gun violence, then on this side, dementia on both sides, and your mom is possibly having that. There is no room for me to, oh, let me just go hang out with my friends every weekend and let me go drink. Yeah, I do it every now and then where it's like special occasions, birthday parties, or certain things you go. But as far as the routine of living that young, quote unquote, what society tells you, you're in your 20s, you're supposed to be, I don't have that. That's not a luxury for me.
Young and free.
Yeah, like, no. I need to spend these 20s so that in my 30s and 40s, my family doesn't have to go through this anymore. Like, I don't want it to be a temporary fix where, oh, you got a good job and now you can kind of inch your way, but then what happens if you get fired? That's why I didn't want to work for somebody, not because I'm not capable of landing a good job that pays well and has good benefits, but I'm at their expense. So if they want to fire or go young, or for whatever reason they want to fire me or let me go, layoffs because their business isn't doing well, so economy's down, I completely lose that job and I have no other skills to do something to create something. So I'm always creating, even if I don't have money, because when something does start making money, because I always stay on it, I don't quit. Once it does, then that gives me more freedom to, okay, now I can hire family members or hire people who are, because with the whole homeless thing, it's a part of a plan that I want to do, and I'm going to, is you start off feeding them consistently, and it'll be once a month, then twice a month, then 3 times a month, and 4 times, like every week. It's capable of happening that way because it's not that expensive to feed people routinely. You do that, then they're healthy, they actually have the energy to go out and look for a job. You don't have the energy if you don't have the food. So you're not going to look for a job if you don't have the energy to get up from where you're sitting, because you're in the 95-degree heat with no food, barely any water. You're just not physically capable of getting up to go get the job. It's not because you don't want to. And you may not even have the energy to try to get it or the urge to do it because you just don't have the food to fuel you to do it. So we start off by feeding them, making sure, okay, they're eating consistently. Then you start giving them clothes. You're presenting yourself a little bit better. You have newer clothes. You have stuff that fits you. And a lot of times they're wearing clothes that are too small, ripped, too big. You're not looking presentable. Then you start partnering with people who can cut their hair or groom them, clip your nails, something like that, give you mouthwash, give you water, that type of stuff, lotion. They start looking better. They start feeling more confident. They have the energy. Now you start hiring those who can help them build skills. Well, what did you do? Why did you start learning about them? You have psychologists, all of that. You learn about them. Do they have any mental illnesses? Things like that. And then you give them, okay, do you know how to write a resume? What did you do in your past? You worked? Oh, you got fired? But you have these skills. Okay, we can find something for you to do. Then you start helping them that way. Then you have to create, and that's something that's out of my power, but I would love to be a part of the conversation. Even if I'm not a part of the actual partnering or doing it, if I can have a conversation with enough people to actually make it happen, you have to build more homeless shelters. You can't just build all these wealthy buildings, and that's why Wynwood, I have my ups and downs about Wynwood, because the Wynwood area is Overtown. It's Overtown, so that's the ghetto. Before Wynwood, it was just Overtown. That's the hood. That's predominantly black. That's seen as a bad area. Yet they turn it into part of it. They turn it into like this great art scene, which is all positive. But on the same time, you have the art scene literally on the left, on one side of the road. Then on the other side, you don't have any art on that wall, and you have all these homeless people laying crazy, and they're starving, they're desperate, but they're looking at all these tourists right in front of them as if that's an art display. Because you're seeing all this art, you're seeing all these tourists, but on this side, you're poor, nobody's looking your way. It's like, no, you need to put some homeless shelters there. Maybe you can prep them up to even work right across the street. That's their neighborhood. It's just somebody was wealthier and bought out sections of it and turned it into a money machine.
A profit, yeah.
But it's like you have these people here who actually, they've probably been living here forever, and you don't try to help them out. And Family Dreams Fitness, my whole thing is I look at it as myself. I put myself in that homeless person's shoe. I want Family Dreams Fitness to be able to help someone at their ultimate worst. I don't want it to be only for those who, I'm healthy, I'm good. People take health for granted. Oh, I'm overweight. Yes, but imagine not having a house. Imagine not having any type of food. Imagine not having water. Imagine having to beg every day, and you make 50 or 60 cents or $1. So yes, you're unhealthy, and yes, you will be taken care of, but I definitely can't forget about those who are at the bottom who don't have the money to go to a gym. They don't have the money to buy a personal trainer. So I'm not going to neglect them just because they can't give me any quote-unquote money. You don't even have to give me anything. I want to help you so that you can raise yourself up, because then that makes everybody happier. And that's like the main purpose for Family Dreams Fitness. Like, that's the big thing, that we're touching every basis. We're not just touching that mainstream fad right now. It's the healthy on the working out. No, we want it to be everything, because most people right now are not happy. Most people, you may be healthy, but you're not happy. You don't wake up and say, wow, I'm excited to wake up. Most people don't just wake up and I'm excited to wake up. When really you should be excited, because if you see how bad some people have it, or not some, but a lot of people have it, you would be thankful for everything you have, and you would, if you had some type of compassion, you would want to help them.
You would want to help, of course.
But you don't see it. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where some people is, why do you post that? Because you need to see this more so that it can touch something inside of you and say, hey, that person really needs some help. Let me do what I can. It's the same thing that they do with the commercials for Africa. Oh, for this amount of change, you could feed a starving African person. Well, for that much amount of change, you can give it, for instance, you can give it FDF, and we can feed the homeless in America.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing the same thing, and it's actually 100% of the money that people donated went 100% to the food. It's not you give $1 and 20% goes to the cause. No, like, we're not touching that money. That's going directly to the homeless person. And when you see that homeless person's expression when you give it to them, that's worth all of the payment you can ever get. No type of money will give you that type of feeling that you get when that homeless person thanks you and says, you don't know how much that's helped me. I would have had to wait all day to get something close to this. I just want to get off of these streets. They want to get off of the streets. But you're at least giving them some type of hope, some type of, hey, thank you for even just acknowledging me. Like, you don't just give the food and run. Like, you smile, have a little conversation, joke with them, talk to them, see what their story is. Like, everybody has a story, and if you just treat them like or you judge them, and then you don't give them the opportunity to at least even Some homeless people will walk towards them, even if they have their hand out, or just walking towards them. They'll be reserved or they'll walk the other way. Instead of and I understand that because you have to have your guard up because this world is crazy. You never know what they can do, or anybody can do for that matter. But
you don't have to be
rude about it. And you can at least maybe try to hear it out. At least think about trying to hear it out instead of not even thinking at all, which goes back to there's nobody thinking, and you're just running away from the situation. And Family Dreams Fitness, and that's what I want. But I put that in Family Dreams Fitness because anything I do, whatever business idea or whatever I'm doing, I put that same energy into it. When I'm coaching the basketball team at Terra Environmental Research Institute, like the players, I pick them up and take them home sometimes if they need it, whenever they need it. If they ever need it, I try to accommodate it where it's like, all right, let me maneuver my schedule so that they have a ride there, because you never know if basketball could be their escape. They can be living it rough at home and they use basketball as their escape from reality, or that's their way of having friends or being active, especially with PE being taken away. If somebody's trying to be active, no, I'll pick you up, because at the worst, even if we lose all our games, you were active, you're healthy. I can guarantee you're healthy. Win or loss, I guarantee you're healthy. But if you're not doing it, because eventually, I don't have a ride, then you quit, and then what do? Then you're just another unhealthy person. You may not be social. Like, there's a lot of factors, so I try to always have that influence on whatever I'm doing. Just help.
Just try and help.
The money will come. There's ways where money will tie into it, but as long as you help, like, everybody will be good.
And that's some powerful stuff, Kasey. That's really powerful stuff, and I'm so glad to be a part of the beginnings of FDF, because I know for a fact that even though it's something that's already skyrocketing, it has so much more potential, and it's going to be 10 times whatever it is now, and I can't wait to talk to you again in a year or whenever we talk again, because again, you're just an inspiration, and it's such powerful stuff that you're doing, that you really are trying to change the world with one person at a time. And that's what we need to start doing, is once you change yourself and realize that there needs to be a change, then it's easier for others to learn and to gain that change from you and to try and change for the positive.
Yeah.
And so if people want to follow the FDF dream and see all that you do and all that you post, and if they want to help too, can you tell them where to go? FamilyDreamsFitness.com, or where's the When Dreams Become Reality series as well on YouTube? I mean, what else is there for them that do a plug, Kasey? This is your plug. Come on, Kasey. What do you?
FamilyDreamsFitness.com is the website where you can get everything. Then on Facebook, if you're more active on Facebook, it's Family Dreams Fitness. You type that in.
Like it.
Yeah, like it, and then you'll be updated with everything. On Instagram, it's at Family Dreams Fitness, and that way you get like the pretty much the screenshots of everything that happens with Family Dreams Fitness. You may get a workout of the day. You may get some clips from the Feeding the Homeless. You may get a meal of the day, those types of things. On YouTube, the When Dreams Become a Reality, if you you type in Family Dreams Fitness, it'll send you a link to all of the reality series, and that's me pretty much just recording myself through this whole process.
And dropping knowledge. He's dropping knowledge along the way. He's saying what he needs to do, saying what he's doing to be successful and do what he's claiming to do. He's not all talk. He's doing what he really needs to do, and we really appreciate it. We really do, and it's powerful stuff. So thank you. I know how busy you are. Yeah. So thanks for sitting down with me and really explaining what your mission is.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for the platform.
Of course.
Really helps.
Of course, man. Thank you. I told you this one was going to be a little longer, and I warned you in the beginning, but it was all worth it because Kasey was being honest and as open as possible. We got to hear his life story as well as the foundation of what makes Family Dreams Fitness something that's beyond just fitness and beyond just right now. That's what I think is the greatest thing about it, and why I'm starting to believe in it, and I do believe in it so much, is because of the fact that, one, I could just see and tell from his passion and his drive. You could just feel his energy when you're in a room, how he really is going to make this into something that's way bigger than what it is right now. How it's kind of being overlooked. And I love how he always talks about how things are going over people's head. And it's true, because people are seeing it on this level, but really he's 10, 16, 15 million steps ahead of everybody else. And you don't understand that everything is methodical and everything is planned. And again, I'm just glad that we got to get a glimpse of a young entrepreneur who's on his way to success. And speaking of young entrepreneurs, I think that that's something that I need to start tackling as well, and I'm going to start doing that more. I've realized that success isn't just about your position, it's also about your mindset. And we have so many successful people just all around us, and I'd love to just give them the opportunity to talk about their craft and everything, because of course that is what School Me is all about. Not only to just learn about success, but to learn about different people and how everybody has a story. And if you're willing to just sit down and listen, you're going to get something out of it. And people really do want you to succeed as well, as long as you're willing to listen, which is what I'm always trying to do and why I always bring all these people on. So I'm glad that Kasey was able to sit down and really open up about his business and about himself, more importantly, because once you realize that he's just like you and me, anybody can do it, and anybody can do it. And that's what Kasey's whole goal is with FDF. And so I'm just so honored to be partnered with FDF. And of course, you can find the podcast through his website as well, which is FDF, So just go check that out. And of course, I have it on the show links, and I'm so glad that he was part of, we're able to partner now. And thank you again, Kasey, for just taking time out of your busy day. So again, I'm just letting you guys know that there's going to be a wide range of guests, and I've recorded some other really cool young entrepreneurs who are on to really big things as well. So again, just keep posted for that. And let me know what you guys think as well. I'd love to hear your questions, comments, anything. That always helps. And thank you guys again, and I hope you find your passion, pursue it, and peace.